Good morning and welcome back to another reading of a book I once wrote in the 1990s called Where is the Hope? If you've been following along, you probably have noticed today and yesterday I moved to another location in the house. I usually do this from my study, but I thought let's do it from an island. Well, the island in my kitchen. So that's where I'm at this morning. And again, I wrote this book a really long time ago, and I'm just having some fun and fun putting it out there, taking a risk. I mentioned in the introduction when I first started reading this that I had been carrying this book around for a long time. It was a series of things that I wrote and I finally compiled into a book because I believe we live in a time and an age and a world where people are searching and longing for hope. And unfortunately, they're looking for it in the wrong places. That was true in the 1990s, and it is still true today. In fact, it's been true since the very beginning. And so maybe, just maybe, something that I might say, even if it was written a few years ago, is still helpful and relevant to you today. If it is, I'd love to hear from you. Just throw a comment and let me know that you're listening and that it's been helpful to you. So today, I'm going to dive into chapter 9, and it is called Airball. Airball. Yeah, what is that about? The subtitle is called The God of Compassion. So let's dive in to this reading. Certainly, I would never have thought to give serious time to such research. I don't imagine you would have either. Who would have dreamed up even researching such a thing? Well, Dr. Cheryl P. Heaton, an English professor at the University of North Florida, did. The subject of his research was nothing less than an analysis of a basketball fan's ritual of chanting, air ball, air ball. Now, you've done that before, right? When a player's shot hits nothing but air, no rim, not even backboard. Heaton's research showed that the fans' chant is unusual because it is spontaneous and begins with fans singing in perfect unison, air on the note F, and then dropping down to D when they chant ball. Here's how Heaton put it in his paper, Airball, spontaneous large group precision chanting. You got to give the guy, he's got game just in the subtitle alone, right? Spontaneous, large group, precision chanting. And here's what he says. As any director of a church choir or secular chorus knows, getting a mere 20 or 30 trained singers to sing or chant together and in tune is not always easy. Yet without direction, instruction, a conductor, or a pitch pipe, thousands of strangers massed in indoor stadiums and arenas are able, if stimulated by an air ball, to chant air ball in tonal and rhythmic unison. Heaton's research also found that basketball fans always start chanting at the same time, prompted by the arcing of a basketball hitting nothing but air, and consistently remain on key. But he says his research has provided no clues about how or why this interesting sporting phenomenon takes place. Again, I would never have dreamed that the chant air ball was worthy of being researched. However, after reading this article in today's paper, by the way, growing up, I always read two things every morning: the paper, like a physical, real copy of a newspaper, and the Bible. Usually read the Bible first and then the newspaper. And at this time, I believe it was the Panama City News Herald is where I got this article from. Okay, I haven't been able to get it off my mind. It has caused me to think a little more about spontaneous responses. Specifically, my mind has been occupied by how Christians often respond to others. It's amazing to me how thousands of people in arenas all over the country shout airball in unison without any direction or prompting. Now, I know that in basketball, the chant airball in most cases is a good-natured ribbing. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I've joined in on the spontaneous chant, as I imagine many of you have. And by the way, I have shot a few airballs myself. But the question I want you to think about is, how do we react when people shoot spiritual airballs? What's your first instinct when others spiritually hit nothing but air, no rim, not even the backboard? Is your natural reaction to kick them when they're down or to reach out and pick them up? Is your natural instinct to kick some more dirt in their face or to hand them a handkerchief? It's one thing to chant airball at a ball game and another thing entirely to respond negatively without compassion to someone who may already feel like a complete failure. What kind of spontaneous response do you have when you see someone who is down? As Christians, we have direction. We have instructions. We have a conductor. His name is Jesus. We need to remind ourselves of the spontaneous response he had when he was encountered with various people on different occasions. How about the host who ran out of drinks at the wedding party? What about the Samaritan woman? She had to get her water when the other ladies weren't around because the Jews considered her an outcast. Remember the woman caught in the very act of adultery? Do you remember how Jesus responded to her as she sat there in shame? On each occasion, Jesus' spontaneous reaction was filled with love and kindness. He was sensitive to their needs and problems. In the case of the party host, Jesus found an embarrassed man in a tight spot and knew he was the only one who could help. He was his only hope. In the case of the Samaritan woman who had lived a life of rejection, Jesus took the time to let her know that she too was valuable. In the case of the woman caught in adultery, Jesus responded to her by letting her know that her failures are not fatal. He did the only thing he knew how to do. He responded with love. Would that we would do the same. So what's the moral of the story? If thousands of strangers can be stimulated by a missed shot to chant airball in unison, then surely concerned Christians, followers of Jesus, can respond in unison with love to the hurting people in our communities. Okay, so that's chapter 9. And here's what I want you to think about as you go through the day. Who are the people you are going to encounter who are throwing up some pretty pathetic airballs, who are down on their luck, who are living as if there's no hope? Would that we would respond the same way Jesus does, with love and compassion. I pray that will be our spontaneous response. You know, it reminds me of a couple of books that Bob Goff has written. One is called Love Does, and the other one is Everybody Always. Just imagine if we took that same tact with everybody in the world and realized that love does, and that includes everybody always. Well, I hope today's reading has been helpful to you. Tomorrow we're going to get into chapter 10, and it is called Dependable. But in the meantime, go out there and love on some people who are shooting some spiritual airballs. Have a great day.